Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Vinny. If you're new, welcome. So, it's a little cold again today, 33-ish or so, with a mild breeze. But the sun is out, the sky is blue. That's good enough for me. Plus, I'm trying to come out here before the big snowstorm hits over this weekend because I don't know how it's going to be after that. But anyway, I think a lot of us wonder at some point or another in our lives, what is the whole what is the whole point, the whole purpose of our lives here in this world? And I've come to realize and conclude, this is my opinion, of course, that this whole world is one big stage. And the whole point of it all is for us to experience things. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, who would want to experience pain, suffering, grief, loss, chaos, hatred, division, wars, all the bad things that happen in the world all the time throughout mankind's history? These things have always happened. If we look at humanity's history, there doesn't appear to ever have been a time where everything was nice and peaceful and everybody loved each other unconditionally. And everybody had abundance. Like this utopia idea of a world, of a society that some people may have. And maybe that'll never happen. Who knows? I'm not saying it won't. But when I look at things objectively, I see that there's a long way to go for such things to actually become a reality and occur. So don't worry about that. Worry about yourself and what you can do for yourself. And although all these bad things happen and have happened throughout history, we usually always forget about the good because there has been a lot of good. There have been a lot of good things. It still happens every day. We just don't see it that often, that's all. I've talked about this before in the past that I think that at the core value, when you look at it, most people are good-hearted in nature, believe it or not. It's just that the world is so full of distractions and things now that make it harder for people to be able to express that part of themselves to others. There's this lack of trust. First of all, lack of trust is huge. There's a lot of stuff happening underneath it all that we don't usually pay attention to. But the reality is that in the end, it's a win. because you're here for the experience. And, don't ask me why we choose to come here. I've talked about things and I have my opinion on it, but I'm still in the process of figuring these things out myself. But we wouldn't be choosing to come here without a very, solid, valid and powerful reason. That's what I've come to understand throughout my life. And it's all about the experience of it all and the learning and the growth that we gain from it, basically. And I think that because, you know, the place that we come from originally is so much different than this place here, that is probably most likely the main reason why we choose to come here every once in a while. I don't know how often, but we choose to come here. It's because this place, even though may have a lot of similarities with the place that we originally come from, is very different in a lot of ways. And there are so many things that happen here all the time that would never happen in this place that we are originally from. Our oversoul, right? Our essence, our spirit, whatever you want to call it, the eternal part of you that is always going to be here. Not the avatar, not the bone, the flesh, the muscle, not the physical form, the energetic aspect of yourself. That'll never cease to be, never cease to exist. So, yeah, a bit philosophical today. But you know me, you guys know me. I like to talk about these things because, I think that we we often overlook the good aspect, the positive side of things that life has to offer, and there is a lot of it. It's just that we have been so conditioned, so well trained. Our mind has been so ingrained into always look at the bad and negative side of things throughout our lives that we usually overlook all the details, all the little things, all the good and the positive aspect side of life that the whole experience has to offer you. And that includes people that you meet throughout your journey. And that's the beautiful part. That's how you know that there's a lot of stuff that happens here on this realm that is really amazing, and it's worth it. It's really worth it because you will meet wonderful people. Now, how many wonderful people you meet, well, that will depend on what you choose to do with your own life and which direction you decide to go. Because I've talked about this many times before, and you guys know it if you've been around and you've watched my content for a while now. And if you're one of the new viewers, go back and watch. There's a lot of there's a lot of good information and a lot of lived wisdom that I talked about in these videos here. It is important for us to understand these things, because I've I've said this before, you know, you are in control of your whole life. You are the captain of your own ship. So you decide which way you're going to go, which waters you're going to sail, which lands you're going to explore. Which people, characters you're going to interact with, make bonds with, powerful friendships perhaps, relationships, all of these things. This is, you are the one who decides and controls who comes and goes from your life. And that's another thing that people need to learn as well, is that detachment is a necessity for growth, for experiencing things. Because as we learn and as we grow, you change as a person. And what may have been optimal for you 5, 10, 20 years ago will not be anymore. Because that version of you that lived and existed, 10, 20 years ago, whatever, that version of you, if you are learning, if you're growing from your life experience, generally speaking, that version of you, it doesn't exist anymore. That's in the past. You're not that same person anymore. Especially if you go through a lot of, turmoil sometimes in your life, and conflict, suffering, perhaps heartbreaks, all these things that, these things change people. The only issue is that a lot of people, instead of understanding the process of these experiences and learning and extracting the best from it so they can truly go to the next level. It's kind of like a video game, right? In order for you to level up, you need to truly understand why you had to go through some of these things. And what happens to a lot of people is that sometimes, depending on whatever painful situation you may have been gone through, trauma, things of that nature, right? Heartbreaks. It doesn't have to be a heartbreak. It's just an example. There are so many things that happen in people's lives that, I could be talking about here. But I like to utilize that example because I think a lot of people will relate to it, because we all experience these things in our lives. If we're actually choosing to live our lives, right? We all experience these things at one point or another. And, and the thing is, stop dwelling on the aspects of these experiences that brought you, the pain, for instance, and look at the bright side and see how much better a person that these experiences made you. Look at what you've become today and who you are, and how much better off you are because of it. Because if you learned anything through these experiences, I don't have to tell you. We usually don't give credit to ourselves enough throughout our lives when we look back and see how far we've come. This is something we should do more. So I'm here to remind you, give yourself some credit, because you deserve it. You know you do. I know you do. And this is really all I want to talk about for today, guys. Remember, this whole place, this is all, we come here because we chose to. And it's just to experience all of it. And there's a lot of good in it. Yeah, there's the bad too. There's the in between. There's all kinds of stuff, right? But there's a lot of good into if you're learning, if you're growing, if you're allowing yourself to experience it all the good, all the bad, all the in between. So yeah, this is all I wanted to talk about today. My hands are getting a little cold, so I'm gonna stop it here so I can put my gloves back on. And yeah, if you like what you hear, if it resonates with you, don't forget to hit that like button, share, subscribe. Helps the channel grow and reach more people. This is why I do this. So with that said, I will catch you on the next one. Be safe. Take care. Till next time.